In this picture you see I've located a elevated rain barrel within a plant bed. And it's not just any plant bed, it is a bilayered hydroculture plant bed which is designed to grow a maximum amount of food with a minimum of effort. And I start off with the rain barrel system. There it is, and in motion I go around to where the old plant bed used to be located. I was starting off with a gutter here, and that's the old plant bed. It's made with pressure-treated landscape timbers. It's the old pressure treatment with arsenic in it. It's got to go. You know, there's no growing food in that. Got to demolish structures that were already there. I never found that nail. The old soil must be assumed to be contaminated, at least for food crop purposes. It's still suitable for use under decorative plants, right? So I load it in the rain barrel and I take it elsewhere. Now, when you strip away the soil level, the soil layer here where I live, this is the Florida Keys, you see an ancient coral reef from the days when the ocean level was higher. And it's fascinating. It's fascinating geology. There are cavities down in the limestone, just like there is in a coral reef that you would snorkel and dive and look at. You know, and these cavities are going to be used to contain water. I mean, let the water flow. And that's what they do now. Just going to enhance that effect. Of course, water gardens are beautiful, and this is giving me idea for water gardens I couldn't resist. Rubber snakes, flowing water. Okay, back to business. These are systems that are not integrated into the bilayered hydroculture plant bed. They're just systems that I want to have in place, and while I got the ground open, I'm installing them. You can see I'm already starting to fill up the voids, cavities with gravel, and the voids in between these individual pieces of gravel are the key to allowing the water to be contained. Giving water somewhere to reside. I don't need hydrostatic pressure from up underneath. This is actually not going to be connected to where the plants grow. This is only to provide a base for the cement layers that are going to be in place, the foundation basically. The walls are going to be stacked up as blocks, cemented together. I'm preparing this with this pea gravel right here, directly on top of the larger pieces of gravel that you saw earlier, and now paver base. Paver base is smaller particles of crushed stone, again with voids on them that allow water to flow. There's no silt in between the slight, tiny crushed pieces of rock, and that is what prevents it from acting like a fluid when you step on it. There's no silt in it. And that's the secret to building Gothic cathedrals or whatever you want throughout history, so that things don't move. And that's leveling sand. Still, not just any kind of sand, it's angular pieces of crushed rock on a smaller scale, and they don't move when you water them into place. I'm leveling them perfectly flat because I can, because that's the best way to do it. It's the best practice, and so I adhere to it. And I'm using a level to get everything level, while it's easy to manipulate. You know, you get the level perfectly correct so gravity doesn't start throwing you off and erosion doesn't throw you off. Plenty mosquitoes around here, gosh. The weather is not cooperating right now. We got blazing sunshine and pouring rain and not a lot of in between. Here I begin to cement the blocks together. I'm actually laying them down next to each other first without the cement to see how many it takes to span the thing. You don't need to cement to the bedrock. You know, I used to think you always had to do that, but nope. If you put on this leveling sand, if you put everything on the leveling sand, it doesn't move. See, now the systems are sticking up in between there. There's going to be a water barrel pylon in there. Rain barrel pylon. Looking good so far. And now we've got 2 layers of stones all cemented together, buttered each stone one to another, and carefully cemented them. And that's the leveling sand is now in there. That's a layer of leveling sand all flattened out. And once I have the leveling sand in there, I got 12-inch pavers, and I formed myself a floor. You can't so much see the grout lines. I mean, it looks like one cement base, but you can pour one cement base too. But I used the, mosquitoes. Okay. And that's the pylon, the incipient water barrel, rain barrel pylon with the systems, the other systems that I'm going to have sticking up in there. And that's the rest of it. It's going to look like this one, ultimately. Note the hoses that are attached to it. The pipes that I laid underneath the whole thing are going to replace those hoses. So at least one of those pipes is going to replace that hose system that's attached. Looking great. 3 layers. Now, elastometric paint.
Next stage of completion, the plumbing system for the artificial aquifer. I drilled holes in this thing with a hole saw like this side and this side to get the pipes to go through. Then I had to take this kind of bit because it's 4 inches thick. You know, this hole saw, it's only that thick. See? So, to knock that out of there, and then nice piece of brass I found on the ground. That's off of somebody's big boat. You know, now it's the this is the overflow, the maximum, you know, overflow protection for the water that's going to reside in here all the time and be contained because of the elastometric paint. This is the other drain at the opposite end, so we can flush it with a hose, put a hose in that side, let it gush out this side. Here's another nice piece of brass I found on the ground right down here in the Keys. People lose all kinds of nice stuff trailering their boats. Brass plug. Now over here I had to get the pylon that's going to hold the rain barrel like that over there. This future pylon, I had to slice this off with a reciprocating saw and the correct kind of diamond blade to get this piece. That wasn't fun. That was tedious and slow, but I have to get this to the same height so that water doesn't seep. You know, otherwise water is going to seep in there. You know, I gotta be able to stack my blocks to form my column at some point, but this is going to have to be cemented, so that's the same level as this. Otherwise water's going to flow in there, and there's going to be hydrostatic pressure from the wrong side of this elastometric paint, and it's going to get down in there and rust my conduit and be a mess. Otherwise it'll be dry in here as long as I do it right and take the time to do it right. This is when I'm going to check my water level. Now all of this pipe has got these holes drilled in it. This is a piece of it that I discarded. It's got the holes down all around. It's all got the holes. Can't see them. There they are. All throughout.
And now you will see the reason why I call this a bilayered hydroculture plant bed, because this is the layer of sand that the plant's taproots will actually go into to absorb all the water they want. The roots that normally grow in the black soil that's going to ride on top of this layer of gravel and sand is those roots are going to be able to get oxygen because they're going to be above the water, and they're going to be in the black soil to absorb all the nutrients they want. You got to have the 2 separate layers for the 2 different types of plant roots that exist, not all one or the other. And we've got our banana tree, our papaya tree, and our rain barrel all set up. Beautiful. The outside of this can be decorated later. We can hire a professional stucco person to decorate the outside of this any old time. I'm going to build several of these, and then we'll probably do that. But every square inch of this plant bed can now be filled up with food plants. Now, here is a white RV hose, because you need that kind of hose to convey water. The narrow, skinny pipe is what is going to replace that white hose and keep everything below the level of the ground where you don't have to look at it. Beautiful. And here is the shade-tolerant lettuce that will be planted all throughout this bed. We'll be pumping the same nitrogen, fertilizer-rich water over it again and again and just get it growing to every square inch.